I am K. Himaja, lecturer in EEE Department, SRRS Government Polytechnic Sirisilla. Now this is the chapter Electrical Heating and Welding. Now this is the part 24. So in part 23, I covered the advantages of electrical heating according to the syllabus. So it is economical, and second one cleanliness, third one it is pollution free, next easy of control, uniform heating, high efficiency, automatic protection, heating of non-conducting materials, better working conditions, less floor area, high temperature, safety. So these are the total 12 advantages I covered. So many advantages are there, but I covered the most important things. So 12 advantages I covered. Next one, modes of transfer of heat. So conduction, convection or radiation I covered. So in conduction means the heat transfers from one part of the substance to another part without movement in the molecules of substance. So next one, the rate of conduction of heat along the substance depends upon the temperature gradient. So this is the standard equation, Q equals to K into A by T, T1 minus T2 T. So here K is the coefficient of thermal conductivity for the material. So examples are the heating of insulating materials, refractory heating, and etc. And also convection. So the heat transfer takes place from one part to another part of substance or fluid due to the actual motion of the molecules. So example is the immersion water heater. We know very well immersion water heater. And the equation is H equals to A into T1 minus T2 into B. So A and B are the constants whose values are depend upon the heating surface. And T1 and T2 are the temperatures of a heating element and fluid. So example is the solar heaters. And next one, Stephen's law. It is very important equation, important for ESET as well as for government jobs. So 5.72 into 10 power 4 KE into T1 by 1000 whole power 4 minus T2 by 1000 whole power 4 Weber per meter square. So these are the topics I covered in last class. So next one, essential requirements of good heating element. What are the essential requirements? So this is according to your syllabus 5.2 they are mentioned. 5.1 is the state the advantages of electrical heating. And 5.2 is the list the requirements of good heating material. The requirements of good heating material. So here the materials using for heating element have the following properties. So here, good heating element, what are the properties they have? Means total here 4 things are present. First one is the high specific resistance. Second one is the high melting point. Third one is the low temperature coefficient of resistance. And fourth one, free from oxidation. First one is the high specific resistance. Second one, high melting point. Third one is the low temperature coefficient of resistance. And last one, free from oxidation. So the materials used for heating element should have the following properties. So first one is the high specific resistance. And in general, this is represented by the letter rho. So here the materials should have high specific resistance so that small length of wire may be required to provide given amount of heat. To provide given amount of heat. High specific resistance. So to produce may be required to provide good amount of heat. In general, what is the equation for heat? H equals to I square RT by J. R equals to rho L by A. So if the specific resistance is high, so the small length of wire may be required to produce given amount of heat, because the standard equation is R equals to rho L by A. Rho means specific resistance of heat. So if rho is high, then the resistance also high. Then definitely it produces the given amount of heat. Next one, second one, high melting point. It should have high melting point so that it can withstand for high temperature. A small increase in temperature will not destroy the element. So it should have high melting point. For high temperature also, the material should not melt. So it can withstand for high temperature. For example, I have to take immersion water heater. Just I place in the water and switch on. Actually, within 10 minutes, the water will heat. But due to some technical reasons or some problems, I cannot switch off the water heater switch. After 35 minutes or 40 minutes, I switch off the water heater. If it is low melting point, then the immersion water heater will melt. Means the device will damage. But we have to use continuously. But the immersion water heater does not, the crashes are not present. So it should have high melting point. So it has to withstand for high temperature. Next one, low temperature coefficient of resistance. Here the radiant heat is proportional to 4th powers of the temperatures. It is very efficient heating at high temperature. Very efficient heating at high temperature. So next one, for accurate temperature control, The variation of resistance with the operating temperature should be very low. For accurate temperature control, the variation of resistance with the operating temperature should be very low. And next one, this can be obtained only if the material has low temperature coefficient of resistance. So the materials should have low resistance temperature coefficient. Next one, free from oxidation. So the element material should not be oxidized when it is subjected to high temperatures. Should not be oxidized when it is subjected to high temperature. Otherwise, the formation of oxidized layers will shorten its life. So when it is subjected to high temperatures, the materials around the material, some oxidations are present. Once the oxidations are present, the material have less span, less time. So the material should not have long life. So must and should be the material is free from oxidation. So these are the 4 important requirements of good heating element. High specific resistance, high melting point, low temperature coefficient of resistance, and finally free from oxidation. Free from oxidation. High specific resistance, high melting point, low temperature coefficient of resistance, and free from oxidation. These are the, according to your syllabus, that is 5.2 requirements of good heating material. And also high mechanical strength. The material should have high mechanical strength and should withstand for mechanical vibrations. So it has to withstand. If small variations also occurs, the material will damage. So to protect from these things, the material have high mechanical strength. Next one, non-corrosive. The element should not corrode when exposed to atmosphere or any other chemical fumes. Corrosion means the air, the ionization of the air surrounding the conductor. Then this corrosion will take place. The ionization of the air surrounding this material. Then automatically corrosion will take place. So definitely once the corrosion will take place means the material life will slowly reducing. So to overcome this problem means from corrosive, so the element should not corrode when exposed to atmosphere or any other chemical fumes. Any other chemical fumes. Next one, economical. The cost of the material should not be so high. So the material must be economical. If it is too expensive, then no one will prefer. So definitely the cost of the material should not be so high. The cost of the material must be economical. So now totally Materials have high specific resistance, high melting point, low temperature coefficient of resistance, free from oxidation, high mechanical strength, non-corrosive, and finally economical. Next one, material for heating elements. Material for heating elements. What are the materials are using? So this is in your syllabus 5.3. In the syllabus, first one, 5.1, state the advantages of electrical heating. 5.2, list the requirements of good heating material. 5.3, state the materials employed for heating. State the materials employed for heating. So here, what are the materials are using for heat the elements? Immersion water heater. Next, in rooms, for cooling AC, for to heat the room, some other materials. So what are the materials are using as heating elements? So the selection of a material for heating element is depend upon the service conditions such as maximum operating temperature and the amount of charge to be heated. But not a single element will not satisfy all the requirements of heating element. Yes, exactly. Depends on the temperature. Depends on the heating temperature. Depends on the application, use different materials. But the heating also cannot be produced by single element. The heating also cannot be produced by one single element. Next one, the materials normally used as heating elements are, the materials normally used as heating elements are either alloys of nickel chromium iron, nickel chromium aluminum, or nickel copper. So here nickel chromium iron alloy is cheaper when compared to simple nickel chromium alloy. Here nickel chromium iron, nickel chromium aluminum, or nickel copper. So all of these etc. so many are available, but here just I presented only 4 to 5. So depends on the application, depends on the heating element, we have to use different materials. And also economy point of view also it is very important. So instead of all these, nickel chromium iron alloy is cheaper when compared to simple nickel chromium alloy. Right. Next. The use of iron in the alloy reduces the cost of final product, but reduces the life of the alloy as it gets oxidized soon. We have different types of alloys for heating elements. So here, for any equipment or any device, it must be economical. So here, so once the iron in the alloy, means in generally what is the element we are using? Here number of, just second point, nickel chromium iron, nickel chromium aluminum, or nickel copper. But what is the maximum they are utilizing is a nickel chromium iron. Because of iron added to the nickel chromium, the heating element is very economical. The heating element is very economical. But only the drawback is the oxidation will take place. The oxidation will take place. In the state the requirements of good heating element, the fourth point is free from oxidation. So in general, the ionization of the air will take place around the heating element. So some corrosion like that, some of the material will be wasted. Automatically it reduces the life of the Li. So that is the only one drawback, but remaining point of view it is very economical. So here, so the different types of LIs for heating elements, nickel. So this table presents the properties of some heating elements. The table presents the properties of some heating elements. Properties of some heating elements. So first one type of Li, composition. Nickel chromium is 80% of the nickel, 20% of chromium. Commercial name nichrome. Nickel chromium is nichrome. So the maximum operating temperature is 1150 degrees centigrade. And the resistivity at 20 degrees centigrade is 1.03 micro ohm meter. Resistivity units as ohm meter. So 1.03 micro ohm meter. And the specific gravity is 8.35. Second one, nickel chromium iron. Maximum we are using this one only because it is very economical. The iron is added to the nickel. So just to see, 60% of the nickel, 16% of chromium, 24% of iron. Here the iron is added to the material. So compared to nickel chromium, the operating temperature is less. So the operating temperature is here 950 degrees C. The resistivity is 1.06 ohm micro ohm meter, and also the specific gravity is 8.27. Third one, nickel copper. Nickel copper. So 45% of the nickel and 55% of copper. So this is named as Eureka or Constantan. Here you see the operating temperature is very less, that is 400 degrees C. 400 degrees C. So the resistivity is 0.49 micro ohm meter, and the specific gravity is 8.88. So compared to nickel chromium iron, the operating temperature is less, 400 degrees C. And the resistivity also less, 0.49 micro ohm meter. And next one, iron chromium aluminum. 70% of iron is here Fe. Next 25% of chromium and 5% of aluminum. So the commercial name is Kantal. The operating temperature is very high compared to these three previous cases, 1200 degrees C. The resistivity is 1.4 micro ohm meter and the specific gravity is 7.20. The resistivity is 1.4 and also the specific gravity is 7.20. So here 4 alloys are covered: nickel chromium iron, nickel copper, iron chromium aluminum. So here the maximum operating temperatures for each alloy is different. Iron chromium aluminum is very high, that is 1200 degrees C, and very least is nickel copper, that is 400 degrees C. Similarly, the resistivity is the high for iron chromium aluminum, that is 1.4 micro ohm meter, and very small, very least for nickel copper, that is 0.49 micro ohm meter. And also the specific gravity is very low for iron chromium aluminum and very high for nickel iron, that is 8.88. So depends on application, use different heating elements. Depends on application. In immersion water heater we can use one of the heating element. So depends on application, use different heating elements. But the design of a heating element is, we have to remember, it must be economical, free from oxidation, free from corrosion, high melting point, high mechanical strength. These are the common things for any type of heating element. Next one, so the properties of some commercial heating element materials commonly employed for low and medium temperatures up to 1200 degrees are nickel, chromium. An alloy of nickel, chromium, iron composition of these alloys are given in table. Yes, up to below the 1200 degrees centigrade, these are the alloys are using: nickel chromium iron, nickel copper, iron chromium alloy. So this table presents the temperatures of below 1200 degrees C. Next, for operating temperatures above 1200 degrees C, the heating elements are made of silicon carbide, molybdenum, tungsten and graphite. Is frequently used for heating elements operating at low temperatures. So the table presents the temperatures up to 1200 degrees C. So for operating temperatures above 1200 degrees is the silicon carbide, molybdenum, tungsten and graphite. So it's the most important property is that it has virtually zero resistance and temperature coefficient. So this is the syllabus 5.3. So next one, next side heading, causes of failures of heating element. Causes of failure of heating elements. So heating element may be failed due to any one of the following reasons. Any one of the following reason. Formation of hot spots, Oxidation of the element and intermittency of operation. Oxidation of the element. Next one, embrittlement caused by grain growth. Next one, contamination and corrosion. Contamination and corrosion. So these are the main things for causes of failure of heating element, formation of hot spots. Oxidation also formed means the life of the equipment will reduce. Corrosion also one of the main reason. Next one, design of heating elements. Design of heating elements. So by knowing the voltage and electrical energy input, the design of the heating element for an electric furnace is required to determine the size and length of the heating element. Is to determine the size and length of heating element. Next one, the wire employed may be circular or rectangular like a ribbon. Here single wire cannot produce the heat. So we have to take the so here the wire employed may be circular or rectangular like a ribbon. So the ribbon type heating element permits the use of higher wattage per unit area compared to the circular type element. So here the ribbon type of heating element permits the use of higher wattage compared to the circular type element. So compared to circular, ribbon type produces more heat. So now comparison, the circular type heating element. The circular type heating element so first one. So initially when the heating element is connected to the supply, the temperature goes on increasing and finally reaches high temperature. So it starts from 0 to it reaches to the rated value slowly. Next one, let V be the supply voltage of the system and R is the resistance of the element. Then electrical power input. If rho is the resistivity of the element, means specific resistance or resistivity. L is the length of the line, A is the cross-sectional area and D is the diameter of the element. So let V be the supply voltage of the system and R is the resistance of the element. Then electrical power input, if rho is the resistivity of the element. So according to the standard equation, power equals to V square by R watts. Power is equal to V power 2 by R watts. So by rearranging the above equation, R means rho L by A. We know it very well. Resistance equals to rho into L by A. Rho is the specific resistance or resistivity, units as ohm meter. Rho is the specific resistance or resistivity, units as ohm meter. Units as ohm meter. Next, L is the length of the wire. and A is the area of the cross section of the wire. Rho is the specific resistance or resistivity. L is the length of the wire. A is the area of the cross section of the wire. So here we have to substitute. I have to substitute in the above equation, where A is the pi into d square by 4, area of the cross section. In general, pi arc square, r means d by 2, so d by 2 whole square means d square by 4. So units as ohms, r means. Now, so power equals to V square pi d square by 4 rho L. So where V is the operating voltage per phase, L by d square is equal to pi into V square by 4 into P into rho. So where R is the resistance of the element ohm, L is the length of the element, A is the area of the cross section in meter square, D is the diameter of the element, and rho is the specific resistance, units as ohm meter. So according to Stephen's law, heat dissipated per unit surface is, Stephen's law already we are discussed, already I explained in the last class. It is very important for ESET exams. So 5.72 into 10 power 4 KE T1 by 1000 whole power 4 minus T2 by 1000 whole power 4 watt per meter square. So here heat equals to 5.72 into 10 power 4 KE T1 by 1000 whole power 4 minus T2 by 1000 whole power 4. So T1 is the absolute temperature of the element Kelvin. T2 is the absolute temperature of the charge. E is the emissivity and K is the radiant efficiency. So the surface area of the circular heating element. The surface area of the circular heating element. S equals to pi dl. S equals to pi dl. So total heat dissipated equals to surface area into H. Total heat dissipated means surface area into H. So H into pi into dl. So under thermal equilibrium, power input equals to heat dissipated. So H into pi dl. So solving the equation from 2, V square by rho L into pi into d square by 4 is equal to H into pi into dl. So solve the equations 3 and 4. The length of the diameter of the wire can be determined. So next one, d by I square is equal to 4 into rho into H by V square. So d by L square is equal to 4 into rho into h by weak square. So for ribbon type element, W be the width and T is the thickness of the ribbon type heating element. T is the thickness of the ribbon type heating element, because totally heating elements are circular or rectangular like a ribbon. So the ribbon type heating element permits the use of higher wattage. So now this is a circular type heating element. Next one, ribbon type element. Ribbon type element. So in ribbon type element, let W be the width and T is the thickness of the ribbon type heating element. W be the width, T is the thickness of the ribbon type heating element. So electrical power input equals to V square by R watts. Next, R equals to rho L by A. So next, rho L by A means W into L. W into T. W means width, T means thickness. Here W is the width, T is the thickness. T is the thickness. So for ribbon or rectangular element, A equals to W into T. So therefore power equals to V square by rho L by W into T. W into T. So total heat dissipated is equal to H into S. So H into 2 into L W. Under the thermal equilibrium, electrical power input equals to heat dissipated means H into 2 LW, where LW equals to P by 2H. P by 2H. P means power input. So now by solving equations 7 and 8, the length and width of the heating element can be determined. So here, this is the circular type heating element. So design of heating elements here. So the electric furnace is required to determine the size and length of the heating element. Here the wire may be either circular or rectangular like a ribbon. Circular or rectangular like a ribbon. So the ribbon type allows, permit the use of higher wattage per unit area compared to the circular type element. Here ribbon type heating element, circular or rectangular or like a ribbon. So here first one, the circular type heating elements are present, and second one is a ribbon type element. So in general, so the power input is V square by R watts. R means rho L by A. Rho is the specific resistance or resistivity. L is the length and A is the area of the cross section. Area means pi r square. R equals to D by 2. So substitute. So P equals to V square into pi D square by 4 rho L. V is the operating voltage. D is the diameter. A is the area of the cross section. P is the power. Rho is the specific resistance or resistivity. So Stephens law already discussed in the last class also. So next one, so S means pi into dl. So finally here in the slides we got Weak square by rho L into pi into d square by 4 is equal to h into pi dl. Weak square by rho L into pi into d square by 4 is equal to h into pi into dl. So we have to solve after power equals to weak square by rho L by W into T. So under thermal equilibrium also we have to solve. So L into W is equal to P by 2H. For ribbon type element. So for ribbon type element also we have to do the same procedure, that is electrical power input equals to weak square by R equals to rho L by A, and finally we got P by 2H. P by 2H. L into W is equal to P by 2H. So now this PPT 24 presents the syllabus of 5.3 in chapter 5 covered. 5.3 State the materials employed for heating in your syllabus. So here, so what are the materials in general employed for heating means depends on the application, use the different materials. Depends on application, use different elements. So some application use the low temperature materials, and some temperatures we have to use high temperature materials. So in general, nickel chromium iron, nickel chromium, aluminum or nickel copper. So these are the different materials are present. So in general, use the nickel chromium iron alloy is cheaper compared to simple nickel chromium alloy, because iron composition with nickel and chromium, so automatically it becomes more economical. So in nickel chromium iron, the iron percentage is 24% Fe, 60% is the nickel and 16% is the chromium. The operating temperature is 950 degrees C and the resistivity is 1.06 ohm meter, micro ohm meter. So for operating temperatures below 1200 degrees centigrade, whatever the materials present in the table, those we are using. For above operating temperatures 1200 degrees centigrade, the heating elements are made up of silicon carbide, molybdenum, tungsten and graphite are using. And also covered causes of failures of heating elements means hot spots, oxidation, corrosion, embrittlement. These are the main causes for failure of heating elements. And also I covered design of heating elements means it is in either circular or rectangular. So I covered in the equation form circular and rectangular both. So rectangular like a ribbon. So for Stephens law, I has to apply different equations to power, weak square, R. So different types of equations I was applied. So next class I will cover the methods of electrical heating. So different methods, and also direct resistance heating, indirect resistance heating. So these topics I will cover in the next class. Thank you for watching this video.